A very warm welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Shonakshi Chakravarti. The big story that we're tracking, the RBI has announced another rate hike to tame inflation. The RBI hikes its key lending rate from 4.4% to 4.9%. The RBI lending rate is highest since the February of 2020, and the RBI forecasts higher inflation above 6% till December. But the RBI maintains growth outlook despite global shocks. Priyanshi gives us these details.
Your loan EMIs are likely to rise, while inflation will continue to hurt till December at least, as the Reserve Bank raised both its interest rate and its inflation forecast. RBI raised its key lending rate by 50 basis points, taking it up to its highest level since February 2020.
Based on an assessment of the macroeconomic situation and the outlook, the MPC voted unanimously to increase the policy repo rate by 50 basis points to 4.90% with immediate effect.
The policy has been a bit more aggressive than what we had expected. But given the fact that the inflationary forecast of the RBI has become a bit more severe for the first 3 quarters, I think now we could expect another 50 to 75 basis points increase in the repo rate.
Interest rate hikes make getting a loan more expensive. The rate at which commercial banks can get money from the central bank has now increased, and banks pass on this hike to us consumers. For example, on 1st of May, before the 2 hikes announced by the RBI, you had to pay a 37,722 rupee EMI on a 50 lakh loan for 20 years at SBI. It went up to 38,915 after RBI raised its interest rate in May, and if the same pattern follows, the EMI could go up to 40,433 rupees. The total interest you had to pay on this loan was 40,53,163 in May, and it could now go up to over 47 lakh. So getting a loan could get 16% more expensive compared to the amount in May, and this will hurt the common people who are already struggling with rising food and fuel prices.
मिक्सी तक फाइनेंस हो रही है, मोबाइल तक फाइनेंस हो रहा है, और जब फाइनेंस का रेट रेपो रेट बढ़ेगा तो इन सारी चीज़ों के फाइनेंसिंग पे असर पड़ेगा, और ये आदमी की एक तरह से इनडायरेक्ट वे में कमर तोड़ने की बात हो रही है।
उससे दिक्कत तो आएगी भाई, हर आदमी लोन लेता है, उसके बगैर काम नहीं चलेगा। वैसे ही कोरोना से आदमी परेशान है।
हर कोई इंसान यही चाहता है कि वो एक व्यवसाय डाले, एक छोटा सा, पर इस रेपो रेट के बढ़ने से क्या होगा कि वो ले नहीं पाएगा अच्छे से, या फिर वो संकोच करेगा लेने में, और उससे वो आत्मनिर्भर तो मुश्किल ही बन पाएगा।
And the trouble for the common man does not end here. The hole in your pocket could get deeper as inflation is expected to remain above RBI's tolerance level.
Inflation is now projected at 6.7% in 2022-23, that is the current year, with Q1 at 7.5%, Q2 at 7.4%, Q3 at 6.2%, and Q4 at 5.8%, with risks evenly balanced.
Markets reacted to the sharp rate hike by trading in the red. Sensex lost 214 points to end at 54,892, while Nifty went down by 60 points to settle at 16,356. Till May, more than 40 central banks across the globe raised interest rates or scaled back liquidity. While rate hikes are a common tool for central banks to control inflation, they hurt the demand in the economy, causing fears of an economic slump. Despite a steep price rise and interest rate hikes, the Reserve Bank is positive about India's economic growth, retaining its GDP forecast for the current year at 7.2%. But inflation coupled with fears of a slow economic growth is leading to stagflation risks across countries. But for now, the Reserve Bank of India has clearly prioritized targeting inflation, which is at an 8-year high. Priyanshi Sharma for NDTV.
The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has slashed global growth projections. NDTV's Sakshi gets us these details.
A day after the World Bank, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has cut its predictions for global growth this year and warned that the world economy will pay a hefty price for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The Paris-based organization is the latest institution to predict lower GDP growth due to the conflict, which has spiked food and energy prices and has also projected India's growth. The organization has also projected India's growth at 6.9% and has projected a slow growth for UK among developed countries. The chief economist at the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development says the extent to which growth will be lower and inflation higher will depend on how the war evolves. But it is clear the poorest will be hit hardest. The price of this war is high and will need to be shared.
The horrific gang rape in Hyderabad and the case that has followed after it, the 6-hour horror sequence of events as per the police. Take a look.
May 28th, party organized at Amnesia Pub. 1:10 p.m, survivor arrived at pub with friend. 1:50 p.m, survivor's friend left, she met another friend. 3:15 p.m, one of the accused minors approached the survivor. The accused Saduddin Malik and a minor misbehaved with the survivor. 5:40 p.m, the survivor left the pub after repeated molestation. The minors planned the crime and approached the girl outside. 5:43 p.m, the survivor and 4 minors left in the Mercedes for a bakery. Saduddin and 3 minors got into an Innova. On their way to the bakery, the minors forcibly kissed the survivor and made videos. 5:51 p.m, the 2 cars reached the bakery. 5:54 p.m, the survivor got off the Mercedes and got into the Innova. 3 others also got into the Innova from the Mercedes. 6:18 p.m, Saduddin and 4 minors took the survivor in the Innova. They parked the car behind Pedamma Temple on road number 44. The 5 accused took turns to rape the survivor. 7:31 p.m, the Innova came back to the pub. The girl was dropped there. 7:53 p.m, the girl called her father, who came to pick her up.
Your police is accused of actually giving a clean chit to one of the minors who has now been arrested and named as A6, and allegation being that till the video was put out by an opposition leader, you did not act.
No, that is not true at all. The point is that at that stage, the evidence had not yet come through. There's a lot of political storm about it. And if you see the investigation, the first accused was arrested on the 3rd itself. And then on 4th, the following day, another 2 were arrested, and the following day another 1. So there was no delay as and when the facts became clearer. Because we can't act on newspaper reports or media reports or on political considerations. We are an investigation agency. We are officers of law, and we are bound by the rules and the laws in place.
Shifting focus to information that the Delhi police has given on gangster Lawrence Bishnoy, who, according to them, is the mastermind behind the murder of Sidhu Moosewala, the popular Punjabi singer who was murdered. The Delhi police has confirmed in a press conference that Lawrence Bishnoy was the key suspect in the killing of Sidhu Moosewala, but he had not confessed to the crime, saying instead that his gang was involved and they had planned and executed the crime.
इस केस का बेसिकली जो आप इस टाइम पे जानना चाहते हैं ये नहीं बता सकते. हम ये बता सकते हैं कि ही इज द मास्टरमाइंड बिहाइंड द किलिंग. कैसे किया वो वी विल नॉट बी एबल टू शेयर.
Shifting focus to a top US general, Charles A. Flynn, who was warned of the alarming level of Chinese activity near Ladakh, especially the amount of infrastructure being built. General Flynn described it as destabilizing and corrosive behavior by China as he talked about the Chinese infrastructure build-up across the Himalayan frontier. When asked about the Chinese military expansion near Ladakh region, the US general said one has to ask the question, why?
Well, this is the top US Army general looking after the Asia-Pacific theater, and what he says about China is important because it's something that he observes very closely, and the language which he used is actually fairly significant. He said that Chinese activity near Ladakh was, to use his own words, eye-opening. He also said that infrastructure being created by China was in fact alarming. So fairly strong words being used there by the American general. He also said that the Chinese were following what he said was an incremental and insidious path in terms of whatever their goals were in this region, which resulted in destabilizing and corrosive behavior. Chinese behavior was destabilizing and corrosive, and the question that really needed to be asked was, why is China doing this? That's a big question that remains unanswered. Therefore, it's something which we've known for a while here in India about China's infrastructure build-up. This comes from a very close ally who also says that it's time we must work together to be a counterweight to what China has been doing in Asia.
A horrific video has gone viral on social media showing a 5-year-old girl in the national capital tied up with a rope on the roof of her house, screaming in pain in the scorching heat. The Delhi police has stepped in as the video caused outrage and found out that the child's mother had done this to her as punishment for not doing her homework. Another video has emerged from Gonda in Uttar Pradesh where a youth stops Muslim men, questions them on identity. The man is seen abusing Muslim men, saying all of you are terrorists. Young man pushes the Muslim men with stick and threatens them. He says, and I quote, "Carry your Aadhaar card at all times." That's what the man is seen warning the men. The accused have been arrested after the video has now gone viral. Mumbai, the maximum city, has reported over 1,700 new COVID cases in the last 24 hours, a 42% increase from the previous day's count. The infection count is the highest since the 25th of January. Now, this is the first time since the 2nd of February that Mumbai has reported cases in 4 digits for 2 consecutive days. The COVID positivity rate, or the number of cases per 100 tests, has risen to 9.1%. Now, last week, the maximum city's health authorities have told officials to immediately increase testing on a war footing. Meanwhile, the BJP President JP Nadda, who is on a Kolkata visit, talks about Suraksha Kavach to a hall full of unmasked people. This at a time when COVID cases are on the rise. Listen in.
आप सब लोग नजदीक बैठे हो, किसी ने भी मास्क नहीं पहना है। ये मोदी जी का सुरक्षा कवच है, नहीं तो विदेश की तस्वीर उठा के देख लो, बाइडेन भी मास्क लगा के दिखते हैं आपको। ये हमारी भारत, और क्या है संख्या हमारी 130 करोड़, 200 करोड़ डोज लेके बैठा हुआ भारत, वर्ल्ड्स लार्जेस्ट एंड वर्ल्ड्स फास्टेस्ट वैक्सीनेशन प्रोग्राम। और इतना ही नहीं, 100 देशों को हम 18.5 करोड़ वैक्सीन दे चुके हैं और 48 देशों को मुफ्त दे चुके हैं 2.5 करोड़ वैक्सीन। ये भी हमको समझना।